we now call Weaving Wisdom. And this is more than just a project or a program, it's really a platform for other programs to become part of our fabric, I guess you'd say. And we talk about weaving wisdom and the importance of how intergenerationally we learn about the arts, we learn about music, we learn about everything from the generations before us. And so we have decided to put together a basically three-part project to begin with, and it's morphed into much more than that. Grace had the marvelous fortune of doing a Fulbright last year in Ghana, and she will be going back again, and she can explain a little bit about that. And Fran and her son have been working through the middle school down Hilton Head, and I have been working to kind of here in the Center County area to interest people in the South Carolina Lowcountry, and particularly the Gullah people of the South Carolina Lowcountry, as well as the importance of the American quilt in American history, American stories, that goes beyond all forms of culture. Quilts are part of the American fabric, needless to say. And so we have done projects at the Slow Library in fabric and basket making and a little bit of quilting, and we're working on a new project that we'll be doing hopefully with children in the spring.
But here is our weaving wisdom notion: mine, yours, and ours. And then these are the various components that you were talking about. And it has a long-term and a short-term goal. We've done part of it, but we're looking at the travel. We're looking at building curriculum and going into the schools, or possibly having other older adults who are ready to go into the schools. Do you see? So this is only a beginning for us. And it will culminate in a trip to the Gullah people.
An intergenerational trip.
And then hopefully to Africa to bring that whole connection together.
I'm a former administrator from Bald Eagle School District, and I participated as a school administrator with RSVP in establishing a Pen Pal program, which this is the 15th year of that program. So my perspective is a little bit different than everybody else's, because mine's already a successful and ongoing program. But let me tell you the story as to why we're continuing this journey. About 3 years ago, we found out that the funding that RSVP was able to get through grants, that there was going to be a drastic change in the programming or grant programming, and that there was the need for students to actually have for there to be outcomes. I mean, we knew that it was benefiting students academically, socially, and emotionally because of the feedback we got from kids, very informally, but we didn't have any formal data. I was at that time taking the ILI course, and I thought, we can do this as a work-study process and take a look and answer the question, what does this Pen Pal program, for at that time it was almost 1,000 children, what are the benefits, and how can we create some outcomes that would benefit us in writing grants in the future. A group of current Pen Pals who were also in the class with me, we decided to put our brains to work. We came up with evaluation tools. We evaluated students, teachers, administrators, and the adult Pen Pals, and took that data, collated it, and came up with things that we could make recommendations to RSVP for grant writing and recommendations for the school district in ways that we could do a better job. It was a really great journey, but it's ongoing because we need to keep evaluating where we are and where we need to go with this program. The key thing we learned from the kids is they hate writing, okay? but they love writing to their pen pals.
We came up with a program to bring together seniors with college students on a monthly basis. We call it SAVOR. We're trying to bring people together, not just for activities. Well, first of all, let me just say, what we do is we call it SAVOR Sunday, because we're hosting them on Sunday at Grace Lutheran Church. That's where Meals on Wheels has operated for 46 years here in State College. I have access to about 150 people. Most of them are over the age of probably 70. We're even beginning to have a lot of our clients who are over the age of 100. And they're still living independently in their homes, which is part of the mission of State College Meals on Wheels. But something I find in our clients is that they don't get out much. And some of them have no family. So even though they tell me they're doing okay, I know that a lot of them are really lonely. And they don't have anybody really to socialize with. So Dorothy and I thought, you know, how can we bring college kids, because we know we have lots of college kids here, and I have college students that always want to volunteer at Meals on Wheels. So we thought, let's bring these students, let's get the elders out of their homes and bring them together once a month for a meal and activities, and even some civic engagement things that they can get involved in. I want to provide an opportunity for our clients to share their gifts and talents with the younger students. And vice versa, have our students teach some of our seniors things that they may not be aware of, like the internet or using their telephone. So anyway, Dorothy and I have had a blast so far. Our program is a year old. I can't boast great numbers, but we can boast quality. The only other thing I want to say is at the end of one of our sessions, I think it was 2 times ago, we always ask people to go around a circle and they give a word to describe what they experienced that day or how they're feeling. And this just blew me away. The majority of everybody, and it wasn't so much a repetition of what the other person before you had said. I think this was really genuine. They started to say love. And I think that just totally blew us away. We were not expecting that. But that's the kind of connection that people were feeling. And it wasn't just the older folks, it was students. They're the ones that first said it, was love. So I think that's, speaking to the impact that we could have.
My name is Sonny Reeler. My colleague here is Susan Hagan. And Susan and I have been working on several intergenerational projects over the past year. We did one in October of last fall and another in December. And the first program we brought in the manager of Webster's Bookstore and Cafe, Elaine, some of you might know her, Elaine Medgar-Wilkes. And she talked a lot about not only healthy foods, but also what I call foods with produce coming from compassionate farming. So in any case, we looked also at produce from sustainable farming, also from local farms that would have season-in produce, and that's what we served at the meals. And the meals were not only communal gatherings, but they were also an opportunity for people to come and learn how to cook specific meals from the cooks that were there, and also to prepare the foods and then sit down and have the meal together. And of course, we started off with a discussion about people's questions about food and what their interests were. And I thought it turned out to be a fairly interesting communal gathering that most people gave me good feedback.
And gathering together for a meal is just a natural way for generations to come together. Both of our facilitators, Elaine and Laura Zano was the second one. They were both very good about engaging people. Everybody had a job to do. Mm-hmm. Some of us were stripping kale, some of us were chopping, and they were very good about keeping people engaged. Yep. And it was just a fun time to have everyone sit together and to talk. And there was a lot of hubbub in the room. And it's funny what you find out about people when you're sitting around with a meal. It just lends itself naturally to talking.
I'm a visiting scholar here at Penn State, and my research area is rural aging. but I found the intersection with Professor Kaplan, so we do something about IG programs or IG strategies in China. So this is my poster. So when people talk about intergenerational practice, I think maybe most of them are referring to the status of Western countries, because people may think that there is no intergenerational practice in China, because in the literature review or something, or English website, maybe you cannot find intergenerational practice in China. But through our searching, we found that in China there are many old traditional values about the intergenerational relations, such as proverbs, metaphors, or stories, or legends, and so on. The Chinese people also have the ideal pursuit to be the young and old could find together. But we found that there is a characteristic of Chinese old culture is that they always focusing or emphasizing their family relationships. So this is a little different from Western countries. But nowadays, with the trend of aging population, the weakening family support system, and the undermined the practice of filial piety. So I think that has the needs and possibilities to developing intergenerational practice in China. And in recent years, we found that Chinese aging policies, China has developed many aging policies with intergenerational component by using different keywords. You will find that such as intergenerational inclusion, intergenerational harmony, intergenerational family, housing construction, and so on. So we found that the policy focus have been extended from the family to society. So that's a very amazing thing, very excited. We used 5 different keywords in Chinese, not in English. By searching, we collect 518 samples of intergenerational practice in China. So we found the content is really abundant and amazing. And according to the content, we divided those practices into 10 categories. So from each category, we gave one example and picture. So we found it's really abundant in China. And also we found that it's very interesting in China. All those practices have a good relationship with traditional culture. So we should really enlighten us that if we want to develop IG practice in China, we need to take good into account and make good use of traditional culture. That's very important.